Last session we discussed about component hierarchy, how to define a component inside another component, and we learned about components, how to access data from one component to another. Now, one more important point we need to discuss here is about how to configure and create custom events. So for component, custom events for component. Technically, as I told you in the last session, every component is just like a reusable element, so it is defined with presentation and logic. So you can inject component into any another component or page, any component or page. So a component can be defined with a event, an event. Component can be defined with an event so that it can perform actions on event. It can perform actions on event. So important is generally you can create custom events. You can create your own event. So by implementing event emitter, so it is the base class for events. So you can create a custom event by implementing this event emitter. So how this concept works, we will see one example for that, how this actually works. We'll see one example. So how we can create our own event, custom event, and configure the custom events, right? Generally, what is the main intention actually is, suppose in real world where we use such things, suppose you know, like jQuery UI, you might have seen jQuery UI. jQuery UI provides some templates like calendar. It will provide like templates like tabs. It provides template like accordion. So many templates are present actually. So it templates like pagination. For example, what happens is, suppose pagination. Pagination is a UI. In this pagination UI, usually you have options. You have options like next page, previous page. You have options like next page and previous page, next and previous page. You have options like page numbers 1, 2, 3, like page numbers. User can scroll between those pages like this. Like this, a pagination component is present with some ready-made design and functionality. Suppose you are having a page. In this page, you are presenting a table, and in this table, you want this pagination. Then you design the table, and you can simply import this library, pagination library, and you can use this to your table. I hope many of you aware of such things, right? How we can manage. Now, important, this pagination can work with any table. You have to just link it to that particular table. You need to customize according to the table. So now the point is, you can use across any table. That means now this is a reusable component. Pagination is a reusable component. It have its own functionalities defined. It has its own events like next click, previous click. It will move to next record, previous records. So some events are also defined here. So that means this is having an event. This is like next click event. Next click event. Actually, next click, it uses generally click event. That means click is the primary event. So, but this click event will be used by this next click. And this next click will be used here for this particular component. Now, next click is your own event. However, your event should use some existing events only, right? It uses existing events and configures a new functionality. So click will just perform click functionality. Next click will go to the next 10 records, something like that. That means we designed a new functionality for that event, and we are using that event to that in that page. So that means every component will have its own events. Every component will have its own events. But those events are derived from the general existing events only. Don't think that you are inventing some new events. You are not inventing any new events. You are using existing events and creating your own event for your component. That is the intention of custom events. So here next click is using click event, but next click is an event used for this pagination component. That is how generally it works. So similar to this, we will create one example and we will see how to create